How you doing, Joshua?
Okay, Mr. Isaac Vatuk, welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, and so Mr. Larry Kennedy, also welcome.
Thank you, Joshua. How you doing?
Oh, big
Oh,
Larry.
what I'm doing great, and
Big Larry's in the
I
house.
already have the euphoria and the zest in me for this year's Independence Day celebration. And a lot of folks have been saying they don't see reason to celebrate, but I'm one of the person who always see reason to celebrate when it comes to Liberia's independence. So I'm overwhelmed, and the fever is already in me from Saturday.
So you started
And so,
celebrating already, huh?
no, I just got the fever in me, and just got
Oh,
that,
oh.
yeah, got that feeling of a Liberian in me whenever our independence. One thing that makes me to celebrate Liberia's independence with so much joy is because I normally watch the Ghanaians, watch the Nigerians, watch the Sierra Leoneans. I don't want to go to the US because when it comes to celebration, those guys know how to celebrate. So I want to talk about folks from right around us. So seeing the Ghanaians, seeing the Nigerians, they always prove to you that come what may, despite what's going on in their country, they still got something at least to celebrate when it comes to their independence. So I follow suit, and at times I even do more than them.
Well, there's nothing wrong with celebrating, man. Isaac, your mic is on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I
Isaac
can
can hear
definitely
you.
hear you. I can definitely hear you. I'm driving,
Okay.
so I didn't want it, too much constant noise. But if the noise is not high, the noise level is fine, then I won't turn it on mute anymore. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and
Definitely,
clear.
Can you guys hear me?
you guys are live on Brush FM.
Wonderful. So want to say hello to everybody out there, Rush FM Radio World, those on the internet, StreamYard, Facebook. We are excited to launch the meeting show of Weekly Wrap Up with Isaac and Larry. It's been in the making for a minute. We are finally there. I don't know whether we got to tell Facebook the music on here is not our own. We don't have any copyrights. If we do play some music. But hey, I hope you got some celebration music. Like you said, July 26th is coming up, our Independence Day, and the spirits though are not high, but we still have to deal with it. So, Larry, anything introductory from your end?
Yeah, so just want to tell the people what the show is going to be about. So the weekend wrap up is going to be about telling people or discussing a lot of the major events that took place during the week. One thing you can expect from this show is we will give you the facts. We will give you the facts and let you decide. You can either be willing to accept it, not accept it, have a blind eye to it. But what we will do on this show is to give you the facts. We welcome dissenting opinions, right? You don't have to agree with everything we say, but we just ask that you be respectful, you be mindful, because respect is a two-way street. You respect us, we will definitely show you a lot of love and respect as well. So this show is going to be all about the facts, discussing all of the key events that happened during the week, and then letting you decide. Okay? So and then Joshua will chime in because he's on the ground and he's going to be our eyes and ears. He's going to tell us some of the major events down there as well, and then we will give you perspective on some of the major events taking place not just here in the diaspora in the U.S., but also some of the key events that's happening around the world as well. Okay. All right. So, I guess we're expecting Ben today as well. Is Ben still joining us?
Well, we hope he will. He called me to say something about starting at 3 o'clock. I told him no change was possible. We're trying to establish a time frame for the show. 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock, and
Mm-hmm.
I haven't communicated with him since. But
Okay.
again, he was going to be at the end of the show. So if he comes, wonderful. If he doesn't come, we understand that other priorities took over. But I think we have enough to move for at least an hour.
Okay. So, what are some of the key events that happened this week? What are some of the things we can kick off with? On the ground, what are you hearing, Joshua?
Yes, this week was a very, very, very packed week when it comes to happenings in our country. Yeah, lots and lots of things occurred in Liberia during the course of this week. The sinking of a vessel that was told not to operate when it comes to transportation of humans. It was being licensed to only carry cargo, and that ship was made to carry humans, and we had a whole lot of casualties, even deaths. Like yesterday, a dead body was discovered. An employee of WAEC, that was day before yesterday, an employee of WAEC, Liberia body was found in Grand Cape Mount County, and that had the nation in total shock and distress. Every new concurrence of Liberia had to mourn the happenings, and everything just came to a standstill. Even politically, everybody went down, everybody broke down totally. And another one is the reoccurrence of Madame Saliv's term or her vocab she used some months back, opulence. So the opulence resurfaced again in Liberia with the Minister
Yeah.
for Presidential Affairs giving his
Yeah.
mom the burial he thought was befitting for her for being his mom. That sparked a whole lot of problem. And just on today, the government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, announced
Larry,
the
can you hear
arrival of Johnson and
Joshua?
Johnson vaccine. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear loud and clear.
It seems like both Larry and Joshua have static images. I hope
No,
if you
we're
listening or
good.
watching, you can hear me. We
Yes,
hope
Yeah,
I'm
you
we
can
moving.
come back soon.
You see my
The
hands?
internet is being very difficult.
Well, I'm moving
As you
freely.
just
I'm
heard,
seeing Larry.
Joshua.
No,
Are you getting me?
we're good, Isaac. Isaac is the one having internet issue.
Yeah, Isaac,
But yeah,
Isaac,
so let's
you
talk
see
about the
fine.
top three items. Let's talk about the top three items because this whole business with opulence and the appearance of McGill, but first, again, deepest sympathy to the family. But when a minister of state decides to lay to rest the remains of his mother at such an extravagant, I noticed my dear friend Sam Jackson posted something out there saying, look, a lot of the money that came in was all donations and stuff to help McGill with this burial. But here is where this whole opulence and optics come in. You don't have to agree with me. This is just my opinion. And, you're on social media. You're free to go ahead and share your opinion as well. I will read your comments, So here's the thing. When you have a situation where roughly 62 to 63% of the people in a country are food insecure, when you have a situation where you have the maternal mortality rate, the number of women dying while giving childbirth is one of the highest in the world. When you have a situation where the infant mortality, where the number of children dying is extremely high, children are stunted before they even get to age 5. A lot of them do not make it. You have an educational system that is totally bankrupt. You have all of these issues. Even the government of itself right now is in a debt suspension program with the IMF because the government doesn't have enough money to make payments on their loans. When you have all of these issues, then you go ahead and you put together a burial that one will say is way overboard, considering the money could be made as a donation in memorial for his late mother. Look, again, we don't know the source of the money, but we can just simply say that the optics, it just didn't look good at all. He is free to do that, but it just didn't look good considering a lot of the situations in the country. So that money could have been, and with the memorial, something in his mother's name, it would last even longer. Putting someone to rest, building an extravagant mausoleum like the one we saw, that doesn't come across too well, especially in a situation where the country right now is not at a good place. So Joshua, that didn't come across too well. I saw a lot of the videos out there on social media, and I saw a lot of the comments for support and comments against, but still, it didn't look good at all. What were some of the things that people were saying? Were people in support of it? What were you hearing?
There are people that will still be in support of it, but the main thing that has been trending on that particular story for Isaac, the car volume is way too much for us. So I think unmute will be better. Unmute will be better.
Yeah, much better. Can you hear me now?
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. So, like I was saying, the challenge has been placed, or challenge have been put to the CDC Youth League. Yes, they have been challenged by some members of the opposition, even members of their own party have challenged them to come up with a press statement like they did for the minister that had to buy a car for his wife. So some have been saying
the champagne minister, right?
Champagne and a vehicle. So a gift for the living versus a gift for the dead. That's the entire thing that is going on now.
Yeah, but if we're waiting for the CDC Youth Wing to put out a statement before we move forward, we'll be waiting for a long time.
So I think it's going to be like forever.
Why do you guys think so? Because I too challenged them. I told them,
is it even necessary? Do we need a statement from them? What, to just prove what?
Well,
to prove they can criticize their own?
But no, not necessarily. You're criticizing a human being for eating. You're criticizing another human being for spraying his car with liquor and celebrating with champagne with your wife for a gift. So what's the situation with somebody doing all this extra stuff for a dead body? Yes, it's somebody's mom, but we should be celebrating the living. We should be finding out how we can help our people. And for them to be talking about gifts blatantly like that, or public official is not supposed to be accepting gifts like that. Emoluments are not part of the, social contract or the agreement for that person to represent at that level. So the justification just makes no sense at all. So I really want to hear from the Youth League. And if he's getting so many gifts, what are the gifts? Are the gifts undervalued? Are they way more than, whatever it costs? They're just being all kinds of excuses we've been hearing, which serves no purpose when we're trying to talk about accountability and transparency.
Yeah, that whole situation with the burial thing, like anything else, is going to die down and we can move on. But the first thing that Joshua mentioned was the whole sinking of the ship. That's a situation where somebody needs to be prosecuted, because in any situation where you have the loss of lives, somebody needs to pay a price for that.
Yes.
So even if it comes down to some type of monetary compensation for the families, somebody needs to pay the price for that, because that was a ship operated by a foreign entity, right?
Yes, so, a Chinese guy owned the operation.
Yeah. So, but you see, the problem is in Liberia, we don't have the type of pro bono work that can be done, because a lot of the people in Liberia who are doing some of these things, they have offices overseas and they can be sued overseas. But yes, we just don't have the kind of opportunity where we have pro bono work or international lawyers that can represent some of these poor people. Even ELWA Hospital can be sued in the US. People losing their lives over there, malpractice and all that stuff. They can, I know sometimes we're scared because we think all these people will leave, but that's not good enough reason for malpractice. So I don't know, Isaac, your thought on the whole ship sinking thing.
Well, for me, I believe there needs to be a serious investigation, right? What is the role of the NPA
And his folks, if you guys are listening, Isaac Topai is traveling, and he's kind of in a bad zone right now. He's in a bad, he's in a bad
what I want to
zone.
believe.
Yeah.
But another one during the course of this week, Hebe Macaulay was in hot water,
Mhm.
having his team there from the National Transit Authority staging a protest at the Foreign Affairs Office of the President. And another one, the slogan that was chanted at Hebe Macaulay was very much demeaning, where you had his employees chanting, "We want manager, we don't want Zogos, or we don't want Zogo." And he was even arrested by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. And I think publicly, in this sense, this government came into ascendancy publicly for an appointed person to be arrested by the LCC. I just came across it, and it was I have to applaud the LCC, even if he will not be thrown behind bars, but at least an effort was made, and he came back to do some clarity. But some of the things that employees of the NTA says on a regular basis, if you listen to them, you feel very, very, very down. We are proximity to them. We were at the Chicken Soup Factory Junction, and they have their place not far from us. So a lot of their employees just live around us. They talk about
Right.
harsh working conditions, salary
But the
not coming.
LCC have no courage. The LCC have no backbone. The LCC isn't given the tools they need to enforce anything. People can commit wide open corrupt activities in the country, and the LCC just doesn't have the power, whether it's manpower, legal power, or anything. That's why corruption is so high. So Macaulay being put on display, that's just all for show and tell. It was just all for show and tell.
Sure. But that was another issue that really brought a standstill to have him being arrested and even being protested against by his own people.
Yeah, that's not going to last very long. But
I saw it coming.
mm,
I saw that protest coming because there was a day I went by the fence of the NTA, and a guy was very, very agitated, very much agitated. He said he even wanted to die that day, or Hebe was going to be there if his money was not going to be given to him. His family is totally disgracing him for putting bread on the table, and then Macaulay drives a very huge vehicle and can't give his money.
but here's the thing, and Isaac, you can come in anytime. Here's the thing: the central bank was supposed to be printing money. The central bank had printed money before in the past. The central banks will be printing money. The Ministry of Finance have always been saying that they have a budget surplus. How can you possibly have a budget surplus? How can you possibly print money? How can you have all these things that say, this is the best president ever, but then you can't pay workers around the July 26th holiday? How is that possible? And then to see the situation where some people are living extravagant lives. I saw some of the articles out there where you have low-level officials now living a lifestyle that does not match their salaries, right? Those kind of situations that create issues in the country. If I see my man who I went to school with didn't do too well in school, but he just happened to have a job in the government, it is not. They've been driving a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car with no justification whatsoever, and I can't even collect my salary, I'm going to be angry, and my anger would be justified. It's not by accident that you see a lot of protests and stuff in African countries, or you see a lot of protests, even in Haiti. Haiti is the poorest country in the Northern Hemisphere. In 2018, Haitians were protesting in front of the American embassy because America was saying, "Oh, you're not protesting." But the president in Haiti was doing a terrible job. The guy was just an awful president. So, while I don't support the fact that, these mercenaries went in there to assassinate him, because you should always use the democratic process if you want to remove somebody. But still, this guy was just not a good president at all. So there's got to be situations where the system needs to be fair for everybody. This was what the whole Pro-Poor agenda was meant to do, but Pro-Poor agenda hasn't lived up to its expectations. That's why you're going to see a lot more protests as we go forward. You know, what about the economic freedom fighters of Liberia? You saw what they did over there at the Capitol building, right?
Yeah, they went to shut the Capitol building down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys just got their second wave of walkable money. That's how I love to call it. You know, normally when you live in a house back here in Liberia, we used to put certain amount of money, or we can put certain amount of money in our pockets and call it walkable. So when I meet someone on the street, or I have to buy Grumpy or Kuwait or whatever, then I can use that money to buy Kuwait or Grumpy. So the money was just given to them, and their defense was when they go home, normally during weekends and other days, people come to them to beg for things. So they added that money in the budget to be able to take care of those needs. 30,000. 30K in a pro government. 30K.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to sit back and say, you know, how did we end up in this situation? You know, Madam Salif was no better. She had billions and billions of dollars given to her. And what happened? You drive around the country, you don't see a whole lot of improvement. You know, you don't see a whole lot. You know, so we're back in the same situation we've always been. And what I'm hearing some people talk now is we're not looking at the bread and butter issues, the economy, the healthcare, the education system. We're not even discussing that. I see a few political mercenaries out there talking tribalism. That's nonsense. Nobody want to hear that tribalism crap. Tribalism hasn't done well for the country over the past 40 years or so, and it's not going to do anything in the future. What needs to happen now, people need to be educated. Yeah, the EFFL, they're trying to replicate what was happening with the economic freedom fighters, you know, Malema and his group in South Africa. That's what these guys are trying to emulate. Isaac, you have your internet all stabilized now, or you still on that Chinese internet?
I finally got home. I'm off the Chinese internet, so I've got solid US internet now that I can interface consistently. So thank you for holding it down. As I was saying, I would just go back a little bit to that barge or that cargo ship. The barge was actually banned. It shouldn't have even been on the water. That's the first thing. Whether it was carrying cargo or was illegally carrying humans, it should not have been on the water. So we got to find out in the investigation. I hope, you know, there's an independent investigator. I know Maritime said they were doing an investigation because I think they feel like they have no fish to fry in the blaming situation in that. But my question would be, Maritime does not have inspectors or agents at the port at all times. And I don't think with the quantity of load that was on that ship, it must have taken a while for that ship to be loaded. So they have to be able to see some.
Why is it that Maritime doesn't have the personnel to do this stuff? It's the resources. Why is it that Maritime doesn't have it?
Well, who knows if they don't have it? I don't know the organizational structure of Maritime, but I think that will have a presence at the port. They've been going around with this thing for a long time. They banned that vehicle. I mean that that barge from 2017 or something. So where is that consistent control to ensure that thing never got on the sea? And then
here's the thing. Yeah,
how do people get on those kind of barges? No inspection. People can go and hide down in the galley or just be on the ship and you don't know that they carry human cargo. So those are some of the things that I'm concerned with.
But one of the issue I have is this: that particular ship, from the time it was banned, has been passing on our sea all of the time, and it was not running. Only when the distress call came in, then our guys got to know that this Ivanka ship that we told not to sail on our waters is under distress. Then they start to go there. So a car will pass by me all of the time when it's been told not to pass on the streets. Only when it's involved in an accident before I get to know that, that car has been involved in an accident. This is the same car that was told not to ply the streets. So I think that defense should have been taken down by our authorities and not to come up with such excuse. That
Yeah,
excuse indeed is an insult and a slap in the face of those who lost their loved ones.
exactly, exactly. And what, and I will come back to this comments in a second. But here's the thing with maritime. Maritime has been a complete embarrassment to Liberia over the years. Because as being the number 2 or number 3 ship registry right now, if you look at what Panama is doing, we don't even control the resources from the maritime. Maritime is being ripped off, and they don't even understand they're being ripped off. Because Liska, who is running maritime based out of Virginia, those guys have been ripping off maritime for years. These guys are collecting in excess of $100 million or so on a regular basis. Is it a month, maybe every 2 months or so? They collect a ton of money, and they send a fraction of that money to Liberia. But over the years, apparently no one in Liberia has a clue as to how to break the cartel, that the stranglehold that has. At one time, I remember, who's the speaker? I can't think of the guy's name, man. The Jaine name. Oh, I can't think of the guy's name. But one time, when he was in the opposition, he was challenging Madame Sirleaf, that Madame Sirleaf was paying millions and millions to lobbyists because he didn't understand how Liska functioned. Today, we don't hear the same complaints. But Liska is, and I don't want to say they're doing some kind of a money laundering thing, because they're just a complete disgrace. Liberia needs to take over that whole functionality. Train our people to run Liska, just how the Panamanians are doing it. Because while we're receiving maybe $7 to $10 million a month, Liska is spending at least about $20 million plus just on administrative stuff. That is nonsense. These guys are living a good life over at Liska, and no one is taking the time to look at it. The government saying they're broke. If they took a closer look at what Liska is doing with the money they're making from registry, Liberia will have a lot of money. To say that Liska is not enforcing the rules on the water, that's because there's a whole lot of incompetence being shown by Liska. And if somebody wants to challenge me and have a conversation on the numbers of Liska, we can have that conversation any day. Why? Because Isaac Tuba will tell you, we've been looking at this thing since 2011. So we have the data. I'm looking at a spreadsheet over here that I collected on Liska over the past 6 years, and I can pull numbers up and tell you what Liska is doing. Probably more data than Eugene Nangwe knows about. I don't think he has a clue.
I hope they know about it, because it is significant dollars. There's a lot of overhead and administrative stuff. And I'm sure also there are instances where they just tell Liska, give us this money, send this money here, and all of that. So
maritime should be doing extremely well in our country. We should have a very solid maritime, similar to what the Panamanians are doing. We don't have a maritime because we just don't have enough people over there who are competent enough to run the maritime system. And you take someone who is running it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're wearing customized clothes.
That's
it. Not believe it. Those guys, all their clothes have been customized. So if your name is Larry Kennedy, you got LK on almost all of the clothes that you wear, even
that's it.
Underwear or whatever. So they just there swimming in wealth.
Joshua, how you know the blue underwear guy? Monogram. How you know the monogram underwear?
when they watch it and hang it up.
I was closer to someone that was in the senior managerial position at Maritime during the time of this guy. That's Kesely.
Bien Kesely, when he was there.
During the time of Bien Kesely, those guys, Bien, Joseph Boakai Jr., Yang Biton, those guys were they were swimming in so much wealth at Maritime.
And so no one audited those guys.
Those guys are debt payers.
Yeah, but look at what Fridas is saying over here. Over 7,000 ships sailing Liberian flags, and not one Liberian on board. Shame on board. Shame. It should be. That's a big shame on us.
And really, there's not one Liberian.
I think that's an exaggeration. But by law, Liberians should be on board some of those ships. If I remember the agreement, what Liberia have. Right. So
that's all that responsibility rests with us. Do we really train our people to be able to get on those ships and be able to earn a living? That's
No, Liska is actually giving money for the Maritime Institute to train people for that. Liska is actually giving millions on that. But is the money being used for its intended reason, for its intended purpose? Is that money being used? Because that's another job creation thing right there that nobody's taking a look at. You know?
No, it is. We can get a lot of our people on those different ships and everything like that. But again, you hit a key note. I mean, after this whole training, our people to take over the maritime. Why do we need Liska? What is the core functionality of Liska that?
It's the technology. Liska is holding the technology over our heads.
So
Liska is holding it. Yeah, they're holding the technology.
They're monitoring technology.
So there are several things that Liska has going for them. Number one, Liska has a lot of high-profile U.S. people sitting on their board. Remember now, Liska was paying Ed Royce. You know, the whole Ed Royce that we currently paying $25,000 a month for lobbying. Liska was paying Ed Royce $10,000 a month for the same lobbying. Liska has some very powerful lobbyists that they've been paying a ton of money to influence a lot of government officials so they can keep their position the way it is. Not only is Liska making money from the ship registry, but remember now, Liska is also registering businesses for Liberia. That's another revenue stream. Liska is making a ton of money. These guys just don't know it. They haven't paid attention to it. Liska is sending you $20, $25 million a month. They're pulling about $100 million. They just don't know it. No one has sat down and taken a closer look at Liska. Even if they did, they'd probably be scared to approach Liska. Why? Because they just don't have competent people who can have the conversation with Liska. Yeah. Marie say, my man Joshua passing behind the people's house. Now he know they got monogram underwear. Maria, that's bad.
Maria.
So the thing is, even, one of my little men always says, everything about Liska is confused. Because even pronouncing them as Liska, he can just figure out how they became Liska. Because I think it should be Liscra. You say Liska, so he's confused about that. But those guys are just robbing us. And one thing I want to understand is this: whatever that is suppressing Liberia, every government that comes in, they get that kind of orientation or oriented into what has been suffering the nation. So if it is Liska, as soon as you take over, they invite you on board, they indoctrinate you into what has been happening for past years, and you just start to live with it. Because with all of the noise people will cause outside when they're out of government, as soon as they enter, everybody just gets silent, and it's the same norms. So I believe
you think that the next group coming in, whether it's Cummings, is Black,
they'll get indoctrinated into the same thing.
Oh, Isaac.
I'm not seeing too much independence.
Okay, Isaac.
I mean, we definitely hope to the contrary, because look at the trend from Ellen, the downhill trend, the impact on the economy of not producing at the right level. Then we'll have nearly total disarray under this government. The economy is worse. More people are suffering. Less is happening. Hardly any trickle down. And then that same system, you see, that's why we talk about systems and we talk about change. If we do not get leadership that is willing to buck this system, that nothing gets to the people, no job is being created, healthcare is not improving, the education system is not improving, then we might as well give up about Liberia, seriously. Because you see, when you meet something in a bad situation, and you got hungry people coming in as well, and those people are not committed to staying hungry and making a change before they start to take care of themselves instead of taking care of the people, it will only get worse, because they're coming at a different grab level from the people before who are starting to get complacent because they were getting enough. You got hungry people coming up. So, I can only hope, because like Larry, we always talk about it, we can't give any guarantees that whoever coming would definitely change everything. But based on what they are saying, based on how bad the current government is doing, pray and hope that whoever is coming.
Isaac, hope is not a strategy, right? I don't want to grab that phrase.
No, I agree with you.
Praying and hoping is we need to do something better than praying and hoping, right? Because like Josh was saying, right now, if you look at the field, and this is just, I'm sure it's just his opinion, just you're looking at the field, you don't see anything that is inspiring you, that is grabbing you and say, look, listen, this person here is the right one for Liberia. This is the right time for that person, for Liberia right now. This is the person that's going to make the change.
Now,
this is the
I disagree. I disagree with Joshua. I believe Alexander Cummings can make a change if he's given an opportunity. I believe he can.
The man laughing, anything Cummings.
It has always been belief and hope.
Yes,
it has always been belief.
Hope is not a strategy, but belief, and you can give reasons why you believe something can happen.
Where are the Cummings? Where are the Cummings people? I wish we can bring some of them on board.
At some point, we'll bring some on. They will step up.
Let's bring the Cummings people. Let's bring the CDC people, the current administration people. Let's bring the boycott people, and even Taiwan Gongo people. Let's bring all of them. Let them come and put up defense for their candidate. Let's get the argument.
Come and make the case. Why the thing? But
make the case.
I think so, and I think boycott is a better option than we are. So it's up to the CPP to strengthen themselves. Either way, I think either candidate of the CPP would be a better choice to what we currently have, and hopefully they can be able to get to that level.
I don't like us talking about. I don't like to talk about boycott inside. Because in the Senate, I want to believe the boycott guys are the embarrassment in the opposition bloc at the Senate. Because they got the power to checkmate corrupt officials. They have that power. But then they always voting for things the opposition against.
That's how we need transparency.
The Unity Party, their lawmakers are almost like autonomous guys. Their lawmakers are always autonomous.
No, I mean Joshua is.
They don't belong to the party.
Joshua is making a good case because there's no pushback. I mean, look at the whole discussion on right now the NEC budget. Which lawmaker has come to the people to really break that down and position to a wasteful $92 million budget to run the next elections? Which one has come to talk about, it makes no sense for the National Election Commission to be into the identification business? No, we got a national identification registry. They can do all of that registration, and the NEC just pull the data, just add one or two fields to it in terms of district and county, and be able to maintain the records of those voters. But that is not happening at all. And that's why we need to find out what are our lawmakers representing. What are they arguing when they are in the House having some of these, key discussions? What are they doing?
All day you hear them yelling, order, order, order. It's just one big circus. It's like a
budget looks. The budget NEC putting forward looks as if NEC wants to take the responsibility of building the next mansion and the next capital building that will host those that will get elected. The money too much.
I'm not even sure how NEC is justified. And I saw what's his name? What do you pronounce his name? Henry's. Fubi Henry's, post out there. And I was trying to understand where he was heading with his argument. He asked the wrong question. Eventually I told him, I said, you're asking the wrong question because what you're asking doesn't sound like you're looking to fix the problem, but he was essentially saying that it's costing us way too much money to hold elections each year, right? And then eventually I told him, I said, look, on a per voter basis, on a per capita basis, it's hard to compare countries because we all don't have the same population. So a lot of times statisticians, let's say per 100,000, or you can do it on a per voter basis. On a per voter basis, we are spending almost $24 per person based on the kind of money that NEC is spending. Compare that to even a small states in the US or even in Sierra Leone, where they're spending maybe about $2 to $3 per person. Why are we spending $24 per person?
Because we overstate everything, because everything has to be a scheme operation. People got to eat up top. Multiple people have to eat. before the job actually gets done. Until we can change that culture and that mindset. That's what I'm saying. That culture, for example, is all some people know, and they think it's a natural thing. It's not a natural occurring thing in governance. The people in power should not be using their offices to eat. No, they get paid a salary, and that's supposed to be adequate for them. Until we can change that dynamic and educate people on what the role of government officials is, what they are supposed to be doing, it'll be a hard time to stop that culture. Very hard.
And I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. We don't seem to have, it's ingrained, embedded in our Liberian culture, to allow these things to happen. We don't step up. I see what the EFFL is trying to do. They want to grab attention, but we just don't step up to the plate.
I hope they mean what they're doing. I hope they're not just grabbing attention. I hope they're taking a strong stance against the 30,000 per lawmaker rather than just doing it for the show, to show that they can stop, people from coming in, trying to do. We need better advocacy, better, how should I say, better opposition level discussion, especially like we were just talking about the ANC, the Unity Party, and other folks. They need to have some clear policy statement. They need to react to anything that's going on. They need to be visible. They need to be educating the people. It doesn't just happen easily. If you already say the government strategically does not provide the level of education and critical thinking for our people, they're not teaching them civics, then you as an opposition, you got to find a way to substitute and be in there doing those things and trying to raise people up to be a part of the democratic process.
Right. Let me ask you something else. Let me see if I can share something over here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Okay. But there was a situation where, let me see. So there was a situation where the Liberian National Police recently, or the Liberian National Police had arrested this one guy. They said he was involved in the killing of a German citizen. And they brought him in for questioning. Mm-hmm. They said they picked him up at his, and the lady there, the woman there in red, they're saying he was at his girlfriend. But I give credit to the Liberian National Police because they said, and I think the number one guy from the LNP, he said they have been following this guy. This guy ran away. He was in Ivory Coast.
Like a year ago.
Yeah. And they had surveillance on him in Ivory Coast, and they showed pictures of him at the club. So the Liberian National Police, they did an excellent job.
We must commend the police for doing that. Hopefully it's a good sign of things to come, that they will be, consistently focused in trying to protect the citizens, which is very important. A lot of people don't feel safe, Larry. A lot of people do not feel safe.
And security is another reason. If you want to attract people to the country for tourism, you need to show that the place is safe. They showed, and when they were explaining it, they said these guys have a scam. What they would do is 3 of them would get into a cab sometimes, and you'll see the weapons. They were, he's in pain because he got shot in the leg. They'll show a situation where 3 of them would be in a cab, and then, somebody else would get in, they would put that person in the middle. Then they would squeeze the person in the middle and they would rob them. He got shot in the leg. So that's the kind of thing they're doing in there. And the LNP grabbed him, have been doing surveillance on him. And they said this guy is an international terrorist, considering what he has been doing,
Is he wanted in Ivory Coast or wherever he was as well?
No, the guy was moving about freely in Ivory Coast. But because they said because of COVID, so they couldn't go and grab him right away. But he was coming across the border, and this is where we have that porous border. The border needs to be strengthened, Yeah. So
is it a function of the pay system, or just people are just underpaid? Because a lot of stuff go through our ports, our points of entry, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, people are not they're not staffed. We're not using technology. Somebody can just go across. And the crazy thing about it is, here's a guy who's going back and forth over the border. They grab him And the government at one time is talking about holding Costa for laissez-passer or whatever it is that he used.
All right. So what you got there, Joshua? Is that the story?
Larry, you're the one that posted this, right?
Yeah, I was trying to share this. I didn't really have the controls, but I'm glad you put it up there.
Okay.
This was the LNP trying to do its job out there. They grabbed this guy. I mean, I can get the audio on, but I didn't want to spend too much time on this story. Just wanted to show something real quick in terms of some of the things that, give credit to the LNP for what they did. Let me see if I can show the weapons some of the weapons this guy had.
Wait. And that's what I don't understand. Was the guy coming across the border with that quantity of weapons?
Yeah.
These are things being used to rob people homes these days. They call it, I think, guinea pistol. Yeah, that's how it's called, guinea pistol. Almost all of the
those look like flare bullets, Larry. Are they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Are they flare?
They look like flares. They're flare guns.
Single barrel shot.
Flare guns.
Yeah.
Oh,
he had more than that.
Bullet.
He had more than that. Look at some of the other things. Look at some of the, and they're still putting some of the things he had. The weapons. A 9mm. The man had a 9mm with the bullets right there.
Yeah.
Look at that assault.
That's an assault rifle.
The guy was well armed, and he had the shots, the bullets, and all the stuff for it as well. Look at the bullets the man had. So
I just hope we don't have connection.
You're saying that because why? He might get off?
Yes.
That's my fear.
Like a lot of other people.
Yeah, the man had the bullets. So it wasn't like he was just using something.
So those are loose bullets? Those are additional loose bullets that he had?
The man was well armed. And this is something where you can't say, oh, the major had a fake pistol or he didn't have no bullets. The man had the bullets to match. The man had knives.
The longer iron on the table there is the magazine pack for that rifle, assault rifle. This guy could cause harm for more than 1,000 people.
And that's why they call him a terrorist, because this is some of the things that he was doing.
What is he trained? Does he have some military?
He's a criminal.
Yeah, but I mean,
does he have military or police training to carry out some of the things he's doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just to let people know. Let me just stop sharing that for a second. This is just to let people know that give credit to the LNP when credit is due. Okay. We want to be fair and balanced, and we give credit where credit is due.
We do. So, Joshua had mentioned the situation with Herbie McCauley and what the protesters were saying, and the fact that I don't know if he got arrested or he got, requested to come and visit with the LACC. Because
he said he was invited.
Okay, he was invited.
He made it clarity that he was invited, but the first media story was arrested. But they just try to dignify it, man. The thing was arrest.
Okay, so it was arrest. On what basis was he released? Did his lawyer come? I saw him trying to call his lawyer, and he couldn't get in touch with him. So did he finally did this show the end video because the video got interrupted? I didn't see anything after that. Whether he actually stayed in the prison, whether he went home, whether a lawyer came for him, or whether on his own recognizance he left.
Herbie has been accused. He's been accused of being the president's friend, even before this incident.
Well, that's not an accusation. That's a fact.
Yeah. So he's
there's no crime for being the president's friend.
Yeah, I know.
We already know the president appointments a lot of them are chronic yesterday. Most of his friends or people he perceived as friends, and some of them went through the nomination process. They were approved by our same lawmakers. So if lawmakers know that those are George's friends, and they don't vet them properly and they approve them, confirm their nomination, it's so hard to say. It's very hard. That's why we need transparency in the House and in the Senate.
Let me, go ahead. You done, Isaac, or you?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I wanted to share this. Joshua, you can put this up as well. I wanted to share this screen right here. Let me see if I can get it up. This is the EFFL, guys. Can you hear the audio too?
It's not on yet.
It's not on yet.
Oh, let me.
Emmanuel Gonkwe and his voice. But Emmanuel was on the show sometime last week, and he did not mention this. Let me try to bring him in.
Who, Emmanuel from the EFFL?
Yeah, Gonkwe.
Maybe you're trying to do it as a surprise. But
Yeah.
what's the end game, though? You lock the people in, they come, they break the lock, and they get, or what's the end game?
No, he was not locking them in. He was preventing them, because that was the early morning of that day. It was around 6:30. So he was trying to say they will not go for session.
Oh, I thought they were already in the building and they were closing it.
No, it's the early morning hours.
Oh, said nobody going in.
Yeah.
But what's the resolution of that case? Do they still have these people in, or did they ever even arrest anybody with regards to the case?
There were no arrests made, and there was a dialogue for them to disembark.
And that was enough.
Sure. They deemed it necessary to disembark after they were talked to. But that was just few handful of guys. I think I saw Gonkwe, I saw this guy, also Marian Ducle, and just few other guys. But the EFCC, I don't want to think numerically the EFCC of Liberia.
You mean EFFL, right?
EFFL, sorry, the EFF of Liberia, they are not numerically strong yet.
No, they're still growing.
They're still struggling and still growing. I think but our problem, for me, I've taken the problem of Liberia from the heads of politicians. Although they will have a little share in it, I've taken our problem from on their head totally, and I blame it on the sector of the Liberia. Let's say our citizenry that I hail from happens to be the youth. The youth has become the problem of Liberia's retrogression. The young people.
That's a huge indictment there, Joshua.
Definitely, I'm a part of it. So I'm indicting even myself in it. So this is it.
What do you mean?
All right, Larry will have an issue, which is genuine. When a call comes to prosecute Larry or to talk about Larry, certain young people will know that Larry is wrong and they'll be going against him. Before you in a twinkle of an eye, you see defense for Larry. Young people, movement for the defense of Comrade Larry. You bring t-shirts. You have a counter to a quest that every young person should be going for. You have a counter by another group of young people. So with that, it just defeats the entire purpose of the call you guys are putting forth. So there are some young guys, every morning, they want their Kinju morning, their scratch card, and probably $20 or $50 just to defend certain group of politicians. They will call on every talk show to praise sing and to hail sing politicians that just their own work. They don't want to go to look for any other job. So with that, there can be no quest again. You will not believe it. If the EFCC were going to spend more than 20 or 30 minutes at that particular place, certain group of young people are going to come for them.
Wow.
Give me another group. But
another
I
group are
agree.
going to come to defend the Capitol building against EFCC.
And
Sorry, the
EFFL. And what Joshua is saying is true. I don't care where you are. It is not just in Liberia. And prime example, Joshua, you can put this one up as well. Prime example, Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma going to prison. Yeah, Jacob Zuma going to prison. Look what happened. His supporters came out and started looting in South Africa.
Yeah.
The worst violence in South Africa since apartheid. Why?
Wow.
Because a corrupt former president who disregarded the Supreme Court. Look what happened. His supporters came out and they burned down South Africa.
Almost the entire country.
Yeah. Jacob
Jacob
Zuma came into power. Very corrupt. Jacob Zuma, very corrupt guy.
And he's a trade unionist.
That was back then, yeah.
The guy,
You know,
the guy who took the
That's
country money
that's what
security
he
budget scheme and built swimming pool. When they asked him if swimming pool was responsible for security, he said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
So I don't know when he's being attacked, he would jump in the pool and escape. Or I don't know, the swimming pool was attached to the sea with a submarine under it. I don't know. African
Look at the
leaders-
kind of looting that's going on in South Africa.
Serious destruction in South Africa.
Zuma was supposed to appear in court in
And
his
some
trial.
people are justifying
He decided to ignore the court. They charged him with contempt of court and told him he has to go to they were going to pick him up if he don't turn this out. The man go to prison. Look what happened. They're destroying the place.
You got
That's what Joshua is talking about.
And the young people are the ones that will always assert their energy
That's it.
to such violence.
Look at them. It's the young people right there.
Young people.
You know. So in essence, we
have the COP and we have the CDC COP.
Oh, the CDC has a COP too?
Yes, CDC Council of Patriots. They came in, they had their strength during the 2020 senatorial elections when some members of the COP left to join Thomas Fowler, and then this former US soldier came in the country, gave them more strength. The Bilbo guy.
What his name?
The Bilbo guy. The Himo Bilbo. Christmas Sally. When Christmas Sally. The Himo Bilbo.
That the one who had a heart attack?
Yeah, sure.
I hope he's fine now.
Yeah, Wayne is doing well. But I don't know, but Wayne is a well-to-do guy. I saw Wayne's house in Burrowville. He's a well-to-do guy. So I think when driving those guys to get on the street to stage protests for him, not with him. Those protests were for him because at the end of the day, he will go to the meeting and take whatever cheese. You know, I normally tell people, since I came up in Liberia, and fortunately for me, I have not joined any political party in Liberia officially.
Right.
I have not.
You
And
just,
I attended.
you just supported one or two in the background.
Yeah. During election days, I have to go and cast my vote for one.
But that's the thing. You can't put your neck on the line. A lot of times you cannot put your neck on the line for some of these political parties because they will abandon you. They will not do the right thing.
So I went to the Young Political Leadership School of Africa, and that particular school is a hub for refining young guys that want to probably get into politics, or you just around the entire politics stuff. They teach you governance, entrepreneurship, and even campaign strategies. So I'm a strategist when it comes to campaigning, but I don't think I can just stick my neck out yet for.
So have you applied that strategy successfully anywhere?
Not yet.
Okay. Then
Not yet.
you gotta do it first before you call yourself a strategist. Right now you're an apprentice.
Okay.
Try to learn, but no, I'm just teasing. Hopefully you have the skills to help somebody. You never know who's listening, who could want you to be able to support them and stuff. So let me find out if Benjamin Fanier is going to be coming.
Okay.
He's supposed to be our guest, but he called to try to change the time, and we're not in a position to change the time.
So do we have the time to have some folks joining in to have their say?
Oh yes, definitely. We can allow some folks, if there are any callers on the line now, to call in and share their opinion.
Okay, so let me announce the number. So our numbers are 0776 360979 and 0880 34 61 69. Those are the numbers to call, and I'm going to pin them on the screen now so that our viewers can use them to have their say. Yeah, those of you in the diaspora, we have the same MTN number is what being used for our WhatsApp, so you can also be a part of the show by that. So if there's an international number, you can just private chat it so that I can also pin it on the screen to have our viewers calling in. So 0776 360979. Welcome to the weekly wrap. Like I told you, the listeners, on every Saturday, the program Have Your Say, take a break, and the weekly wrap takes over the same time, 9 o'clock. So to be a part of the program, you can call us up on 0776.
So you say you guys Somalia Drive to the Chicken Soup Factory area?
Yeah, right at the junction, right in the PMR building.
Okay.
So yeah, let the people call in. Open mic, give us a call. We'll answer your question. So Isaac, your man Moba Molu was here in the States. I hear, right?
He is. I believe he's
He's
here.
still here.
Yes.
What is the game plan to try to win back seditions?
Yeah, there was an image of him kneeling down, asking them for forgiveness that they really want,
Forgiveness from what?
maybe the neglect.
Not meeting up to the expectations.
Yes.
We have a caller.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a caller. Hello? Okay, that caller slipped off. 0776 360979 0880 6169. The numbers to call in and be a part of the program, the weekly wrap. So we are discussing varieties of trending issues that happened during the course of the week. We try to wrap up all of the major and trending stories in our country, Liberia, and also stories outside of Liberia, but also affect Liberia. Like somebody want to say, then we shouldn't discuss things from America, but things happening in America that affects Liberia also.
No question.
It's an issue of proximity. Yeah,
Sometimes, and then there's the whole issue of integration, how we relate in terms of people here and people in Liberia, how we can work together better. So those are things that we'll discuss. I mean, this is the first show. We are trying to feel things out. Talk to one or two people if they can come on the phone to see how things are. There will be times where we'll just take only one topic and delve deep, just do a 15-minute run through of the top events for the week, and then really delve into some key issues around our own governance, our economy, our healthcare, our education, our job creation, our agriculture sector, our mining sector. So because there are just so many topics out there, Joshua, that we really need to touch. And
Sure.
Luckily, we have a diverse, understanding of these different issues, and we'll be really trying to share what our thought process are, what some of the solutions we can offer. And then people can come in too, because we believe that there should be freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and people can be involved in the discussion.
So here's the thing. We live in a globalized society. You can not focus only on Liberia, because what's happening outside of Liberia will impact you as well. Whenever I walk, and this is mandatory when I walk into my the finance and economics class that I teach at the college, right? The first thing I ask the students is what's happening in the world. So usually we're discussing SARS, we're discussing, these like COVID, Ebola diseases, or, what the economy is doing. We're discussing things like Sierra Leone is using blockchain for voting. We're discussing things that, the first question I ask them is what's happening in the world. Don't just sit in your space and think that it's all about you. You live in a globalized economy. Something happening elsewhere can impact you. For example, are you aware that Guinea just declared, first of all, are you aware that Guinea had a little outbreak of Ebola?
Not recently.
Yeah, so people not even realizing that there was an outbreak of Ebola, and it was just a few weeks ago that Guinea was declared Ebola free by the Africa CDC. People were dying in Guinea from Ebola. This is the same Guinea back in December of 2013 where Ebola came, and then by January, February, March or so, it entered in Liberia in Lofa. So you cannot sit in your space and just remain isolated from the rest of the world. So we are going to have discussions, whether it's something happening in Liberia, whether it's something. But the whole thing about Ebola, that's something we need to keep an eye on. If we don't strengthen our healthcare system, we can have government officials flying out of the
come back. Ebola
it's going to come back.
and resurfaces most times in places where it's been before. So
yeah,
there's a chance that will come back. So our whole, just in healthcare system, disaster management system, emergency system, all of those things need to be real systems that we can depend on.
Needs to be developed. Look at COVID. What is COVID doing in Liberia today, Isaac? What is COVID doing?
Oh, COVID. I have to go to Enfield and see what they are saying to us because the numbers have been going down. I was tracking up to, I want to say, 5 days ago, maybe, like the 17th, 18th, I was tracking the number. But Enfield, like I believe the recent numbers.
But one key thing is we're not spending money to get vaccines in the country. Only 1% of the population have received the COVID vaccine.
A lot of tourists seem to have died already, right? Vaccines were supposed to be coming in, people not getting vaccine. Where are we with that? Where is the country in terms
and COVID hasn't gone away.
Today they announced the arrival of the Johnson vaccine.
The Johnson & Johnson.
Press conference at MICAT this morning.
Wonderful. The good thing I noticed, the deaths have stopped basically at 148. We having this is July. Oh no, this is July 17th and today 24th. So this is a week ago. That's the last thing I saw, the 17th.
So we have a caller here in Liberia. Can we take them?
Yes.
Now, yes. So we have to take this caller. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Joshua.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for the program. This is David Tukwa.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. David Tukwa, Technical Director at Brush FM or PMI. Welcome to the program, the weekly wrap-up.
Thank you very much. But my special is going to just a recent thing that happened in Coma. We're talking about slavery. I heard the step speaking at what happened to him. He has been chased by two cars. One hour ahead, he passed and trying to get at him. The other one behind him trying to see whether they can get to him. I don't know what was the situation. But what about that? The land is that pastors are certainly being targeted. I don't know who are those that were responsible for. If the government will take children to be very serious, I think they need to get into the depth of what is happening. There are information that the pastors are really making in Vancouver and there has been no investigation, no one has been arrested. And this is just an example that took place just a weekend with Coma. It's Abraham Coma. They keep my radio station and that was, they were saved by God, taking advantage of the Kapao group. So I don't know what the government is thinking about. Because my fear is at the table that brings us the Boko Haram in the country. And we should not sit back and just overlook it. You know that the Boko Haram in Nigeria, they are polarizing. So we need to be very watchful. If the church is being targeted, there should be a question posted. Let's look at the statement made by the Muslim head in Nigeria. They are not in the question. And he sees the trend that has been taken on by these people in this nation. So we need to look at it very clearly. We need to go through some thorough investigations on these people so that they can tell what is really happening. Our government needs to tell the people what is happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tupa, and do have yourself a great weekend. So he was talking about security, and sorry, he was talking about security and the issue of like 2 days ago, a very popular Liberian prelate, a delivering minister that got a huge congregation. His name is Abraham Kurman. Got his church in the New Georgia Oldfield. New Georgia West. He normally sleeps on his radio. He got a radio station owned by the church. He normally sleeps there Thursday night. So the
Right.
early morning Friday, while on his way home, he was being targeted by 2 vehicles that put up a serious chase on him. And currently, a
And
church.
he was driving.
Yeah, he was driving. He normally he's a
He was
young.
heading home. Mhm.
Yeah, he's young. So normally young people love driving. Yeah, I think I studied that too. Young people really love to drive. There are a lot of beauty in it. So while driving, he was being chased by 2 vehicles, and his church even announced that there was attack on his life. He was being saved by some nighttime security we have in Liberia referred to as kapao kapao.
Right.
So they came in, and has been safe. And there is a church now in Liberia that got this 100,000 Liberian dollars reward up. One of their pastors have gone missing, and this particular photo or footage or notice has been up for more than 2 to 3 months. And up to now, we are not seeing his living body or probably lifeless body. So that, I think, based upon that backdrop, you heard the reverend
Yeah.
say that pastors have been targeted. And the caller I just called is a reverend also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And during the Abraham Day celebration, the chief imam again make the call for a Muslim holiday. And he said this time around they are tired with dialogue. They are tired of dialogue.
is that a threat? Is that supposed to be a threat?
I don't know how they want to call it, but for me,
How many Christian holidays do we have in Liberia?
I don't know which one I know of. They normally say Christmas is legislated, but I've not seen that legislation of Christmas. I've not seen the legislation that brought Christmas into the book of being a holiday by our constitution. I think these things operate on policy and not laws.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Isaac.
So yeah, this religious versus secular, it really needs to be discussed. People can't run away from that discussion. What I know, Christmas is now considered more like an end of the year holiday than a religious holiday. And I don't know the rationale for that, whether it's to satisfy people, especially in the US here, who don't have a specific religion or who are Jewish or who are Muslim.
We have a caller, Isaac. Can we post
Okay,
it?
you go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Hello, caller, are you there? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hello, welcome. Your name and where you joined the conversation from?
My name is Losuna Kamure, and I joined you from Car West, US African community.
Okay, Lars, welcome.
Yeah, and then I'm not my credit, so I'm here with the video.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have the issue about the Muslim. I'm a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Muslim. I don't know what you want. You know what? Whatsoever God gave you, you parry that way. If it's Friday, Muslims are going to consider Friday to be a holiday for themselves. If you take a survey, most of the shops or the schools are being owned by Muslims. Friday, you just go to your shop and go and pray and come back. If you want to cook.
Lasana said it. He said he was going to be harmonized, and he has been harmonized.
He's been harmonized.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we list the holidays in Liberia, I think Christmas is the only thing that look like a Christian holiday because, from January 1st, where you got New Year Day, then Armed Forces Day, then National Decoration Day, then Joseph Jingara birthday, which I think should be President's Day, but not him alone. Then Fast and Pray Day. Anybody can fast and pray. National Unification Day, Independence Day, National Flag Day, Thanksgiving Day. Everybody can give thanks. Not necessarily a Christian holiday. Tottenham birthday, that's another thing. I think those two holidays need to be merged. Tottenham birthday and Joseph Jingara birthday, and we just have President's Day. Then Christmas Day. Now, Christmas is where you can have the argument that it's an international marketing phenomenon, but you can also say it's a sacred religious holiday since it's related to Jesus Christ's birthday. So where do we go? Is it Jesus' birthday and Muhammad's birthday? What kind of a Muslim holiday do the Muslims want? Have they specified? If they get one holiday, what about the recent holiday versus the fast-breaking holiday versus many other days that they observe from a purely religious perspective? So I think it's something worth a discussion, but I don't know enough about the Muslim faith and what kind of emphasis they are putting in it. But I don't think there should be any threats around what they are saying. I believe they probably got Muslim lawmakers. Have they presented a law to the House? Have you heard anything about any bill being submitted for religious holiday?
No, it was Snow who said he was going to introduce it, and all of a sudden it was being mentioned that he ran away from his own introduction.
You can't trust that guy. But one thing David mentioned was he said that pastors or religious people are being targeted. So I don't know how true that is. But one thing that is important, security of the people is also a measure of Human Development Index. The people need to feel secure, right? Yep. So not just education, healthcare, and all of that, but security also a measure of Human Development Index. But we've seen you don't have to be in the rural areas, to be targeted. We've seen people in Monrovia on Broad Street get targeted. Nothing has come out of it. You are competing with other countries in the region for foreign direct investments. Investments not going to be. Look, the United States put out a security report. The State Department put out a security report on Liberia. As a former bank. Huh?
We got a caller.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, welcome. Your name and where you join us from?
I'm Tadini Jones, calling from Johnsonville.
Welcome.
Say something. The Muslim, according for the holiday, Muslim will never get holiday in Nigeria. Because you can't get a Christian holiday in Mali. You can't see in Burkina Faso, in Nigeria.
Hello?
I think he just made a point and drop off.
No, he's still on.
Oh?
I think he's battling the network.
Hello?
Probably not.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah, in Mali, you can't find no holiday for Christians. So in Nigeria, Muslims will never get holiday. I expect anybody, it will never happen yet. Every snow that you get for the Muslim holiday, the thing he want after the president 2 years, why is he for that reason you will never get it.
But wait a second, are you saying he's not going to get a holiday because we can't get a holiday in Mali? Is that the only reason, or is there some other reason?
Drop off?
He gone off. We have David back on the line. Welcome back, Mr. Tupa.
Yeah, thank you for the recognition. Let me just try to add something when it comes.
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to Christmas, it is a specific date that is set up for that celebration. But with the Muslim faith, there's no specific date. Maybe next year to have the Ramadan a different month. The other year a change to a different month. Then which date are you going to set for the holiday if you want a holiday? Abraham Day is not a set date. the end of Ramadan is not a set date. So why are you telling me? How can you get a holiday when you don't have no set date?
Well,
So
but something like the end of Ramadan, right? Don't they determine it based on certain events or timing for them to know ahead of time that this particular year's Ramadan it will be X amount of time, and then the end of Ramadan is a certain day?
I think it's always announced. It's always announced from their headquarters.
You know why it would be difficult for Muslims to get a holiday in Liberia?
Yes, he's still on the line.
It does not change. I don't know if it can change. Black holidays is independent, it never change. Upper tribe is spread, it never change. But there is not stable. That's one of the things. There is not stable. They are this for their celebration is not stable. And you can't put a holiday and flip it. You can't put it and flip it, and there has been no Christian holiday that has been legislated in this country. Nothing. You can't find one. And they have said they should have the Londoners should pass the holiday for them. And then you know what Ellen Snow said? I don't want to say that. I want to say Ellen Snow was an idiot. They said Ellen Snow said you will give the Christians, so the Muslims can give Christians one holiday. But the logic would say that. I don't know. We need to sit there and think and see how well and see where we are. If the foundation is destroyed, okay, you can have anything ahead of you that you can depend on. Now,
All right.
Liberia had a foundation, and this is where the NLC came from in 1986. In every nation, you can change an article in your constitution, but you can't temper with the preamble.
Okay. Thanks for that, David.
Article 14, I could be wrong, but Article 14 of our Constitution declares Liberia a secular state. I can go.
It was 1986, but not so. The whole constitution constitution, but it never said secular nation. It's honored to 1986 constitution. That one said that there was a change the nomenclature of that particular preamble of the constitution. And that's the foundation of the nation. You don't say why America cannot change that preamble. That preamble said why other countries can change that preamble. There's a serious issue.
Yeah.
This one, there was today. That is the Muslim people say they want to have. Other people trying to bring. If you give Muslim people holiday today, tomorrow the Buddhists will come and say, I need a country, I want a holiday. The Hebrews will come, they say they want a holiday. You see, Shem will come, you see the guys, they'll come and say they want a holiday. Then you will have to be everybody holiday. Then where are we going?
We're going to a holiday. We're going to a holiday state. Everybody will have a holiday. But
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
I mean, thank David for calling, but so we can take it offline and talk about it, so he can listen to our response as well.
yeah.
Okay, so he's off. Sorry for that. He's off.
One reason why it would be difficult for Muslims to get a holiday, even though you have a constitution that says you cannot step on the minority in a society, but 93% of the people in Liberia are Christians. Between Protestants and being Catholics, it's 93%. The Muslim makes a small, not maybe 83%. The Muslim make about a 12 to 13%, if even that. So it would be extremely difficult. And I think David makes a good point, because they don't have a set day for some of the Muslims holidays. But even that, you can say, okay, the first day in this particular month can be recognized as a Muslim holiday. But I think because the majority of the people in the country are Christians, it become extremely difficult. So the previous caller made also a valid point, because you can't go to Guinea or Mali or some other countries and then enforce a Christian holiday. But, religion is just one of those topics that are very, very contentious. Very contentious.
Well, in Article 14 is clear, consistent with the principle of separation of religion and state, the republic shall establish no state religion.
Exactly.
So while people got the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and they can practice at any time, not obstructing other people, conducting themselves peacefully, but there is no religious, denomination or group that have exclusive privilege. So the whole thing about religious holiday, you can consider do the Christians have specific privilege because of Christmas holiday? I don't know. It's something that need to be discussed again. Like I said, Christmas holiday is a phenomenon. It's celebrated internationally all over the world, but some people still look at it as a sacred Christian holiday because it's related to the birth of Jesus, and Jesus is the Christ, right? So let us at least be open to discussing. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I want to, Muslim holiday, but some recognition of, their different holidays is expected. I think that happens a lot now. Before, I never used to see that 10 years ago, but over the last several years, and maybe it's because of social media, for all the Muslim holidays, different
But
political leaders, sometimes even the government recognize it and send like a press release or something to
But
them.
remember that holidays also have economic consequences, right? Because
Well,
if you're saying holiday where stores are shutting down,
Yep.
that's major. You have to consider that as well. There's some impact to it. Because it just recently passed a new holiday here in the US, Juneteenth. It just passed that. There's some economic consequences to that as well. So that's something that we can have a conversation on. We may not be able to get the answer today, but we'll be willing to set up a show, invite some very prominent religious figures to come in and discuss it as well. So I think we're looking to wrap up right about now.
Yeah, let me ask Fanny if he's coming, but I just wanted to ask about the opulence thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does it carry over to next week? Because we see a lot of people making the case, anybody can celebrate the way they want to celebrate. If they're making the money, they can use the money any kind of way they want. But the challenge is still there for the Youth League that oppose government figures operating opulence. So I hope they can address that. At the same time, there are people who are really, really frowning on it in the face of the abject poverty, the sometimes not paying salaries, no jobs and everything like that. So people have issues. Does this carry over to next week?
Of course not. Of course not. We Liberians, we have the attention span of a microwave. We get hot on something, then next week it completely dies. We were hot about War Crimes Court. War Crimes Court hasn't died down yet, but it's slowly losing oxygen. But people are not paying attention because right now, and this is why the weekend wrap up, we just start talking about Liberia. Because what's happening right now in other African countries, they are using child soldiers to commit war crimes. They're using 12 to 14-year-olds to commit war crimes because somehow they feel that the United Nations will not prosecute these children. So they're using them to commit atrocities right now. War crimes is still big in Liberia, and we need to focus on that. We have attention span of a microwave. War crimes is gone, but I'm sure because, it's gained momentum, it will eventually come back. This opulence thing is going to die down by next week because you see our man, and we're going to invite him one of these days, Sam Jackson. We see our man Sam Jackson talking about, the man has no one's saying the man doesn't have a right to do it, but we're just saying that if you're a government official in a country where you have very high poverty, in a country where you have very high maternal mortality rate, in a country where you have food insecurity, over 60-70% of the people are food insecure, you don't go ahead and start spending money in this kind of fashion. You have government officials bathing their car with champagne. That's nonsense. You can't do that kind of stuff. So but will this thing hang around till next week? No, I'm not going to bet anything that it's going to be around come next week. And I think deservingly, we need to move on away from it.
There's a story. There's a story I forwarded in the WhatsApp chat room.
Right.
I don't know if any of you can check it up now. There's this accusation of a check of $500,000 Liberian dollars being given to the Redemption Hospital by Honorable Dixon Sibo.
500,000.
Yeah, 500,000 Liberian dollars.
Okay.
And given to Redemption Hospital by Honorable Dixon Sibo. But then on return of Delon's money, the health minister said the guys from the Capitol building got a whole lot of hula bula on monies that they owned, so they are not going to receive.
if you're gonna be on here with us, we gotta do things the right way. Hula baloo.
Hula baloo, thank you. A lot
Yeah.
of hula baloo on their money, so she will not receive it. She and her team don't want to get involved with that. They are strictly health people. But
So
then,
they rejected dealer money and now they're accepting other people's money.
yeah,
So how is this money characterized? Did he describe it as his own personal money, or is this money, how should I say, money that came directly under the 30,000?
but any money those guys own now,
People money, eh?
gotta come from the 30,000. I don't want to believe Honorable Dixon C will go and put the 15,000 down and go take money from another place and come and start using it. So I think it should just be holistically just refuse money from all of those guys now, since you have started to build your quote unquote good character by maintaining your status of being.
So what's the exchange rate right now? What's the exchange rate?
The exchange rate is 172.
And we're talking about
That's
500,000.
probably one, maybe 3,000 or so, 3,000.
Yeah. It's not
Right.
that much.
Yeah. But the whole notion of, you see this a lot, government officials in Liberia making donations, government officials making donations, and they take pictures of it, they spread it around. Why can't we just build a healthcare system as opposed to making these small? Nothing wrong with the donations, but I think it's that begging mentality that is so ingrained in the society right now that people have to. Remember one time the vice president was saying, "Oh, she needed to increase her salary because people are coming to her office to beg."
Right, and some other lawmaker wasn't it Tupa making a justification too that is so the bond can and Tupa from bond can too.
You want to raise your salary because people are coming to your office to beg? Why don't you increase the GDP for the entire country so nobody will come and beg you? Why increase salary across the board? Why don't you create jobs so people won't come and beg you? Because that's not a strategy. That's not development. And then you have officials or people who want to run for elections start giving rice and palm oil and all kind of things. So look, we got to change this society. There's no reason why Liberia is poor. Liberia was better than the three tigers, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore. Liberia is one time much better than them in terms of development. Those countries have come and passed us. Zoom. Where are we today? We're still down there traveling around and going to different countries to beg. Everybody's saying,
and that speaks to how do we do it. Everybody says, yeah, Liberia should do this, Liberia should do this.
yes, how you do it.
Okay,
Number one,
Uh-huh.
you can. So we have a lot of unskilled, we have a young population, a lot of unskilled people, right?
Yeah.
We need to train people. We should invest more of our GDP into education than we're doing right now. The African Union as a whole wanted African countries to invest at least 9% of their GDP in education. We're doing around 2%. That's nonsense.
So we got people who represent us at the African Union. We got people who represent us within ECOWAS. We got people who represent our Mano River Union. When we have these international continental agreements, what is the disposition to pushing that agenda to make sure that we comply with it? I don't hear anybody talk about lawmaker increase in the budget for education. Every year the budget comes, but you don't see a real debate on the different allocations to different categories, especially agriculture and education, based on the agreed amount that should be invested in those sectors. We don't see that.
That should come from the government. This is where the fiscal, so you have the two key sides, right? This is where the fiscal guys should put forth a budget that says we're going to put more money in education. Singapore right now, they have infopreneurs, not entrepreneurs, infopreneurs. They're selling knowledge. That's how they're making money. We at JP Morgan Chase on the investment banking side, we were outsourcing jobs to places like Singapore, Philippines. We can outsource jobs to places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea. Why is it? Because we're not educating the people. You educate the people, and people use that as a means of power.
You see, people got to embrace, or government got to create that environment too, because
Yes.
there are Liberians in the business process operations, the BPO area, that can, do some of these offshore activities, whether it's
Yeah, and Ruth over here is posting. She's right. Our strategy from Madame Sirleaf, even going further back, is to go to other countries to beg. Legislators are doing it now. They think that's development, to go to other countries to beg.
begging is not a strategy.
No, not knowing that you have the ability to build something on the ground. If you connect with the right people, you can build something on the ground and have the sustainability strategy built in there. Ghanaians are using Liberia palm nut and packaging it and selling it under the name of.
They're using Liberian palm nut, using the Liberian name.
They're using the Liberian name. They are profiting off because they know Liberian products, when it's grown in Liberia, is fresh. They don't have the pesticide, the GMOs, and all the things that are killing people here in America. We don't have in Liberia. Our things are fresh, but we're not taking advantage of it. Rather than go big, put something stable. This is what government is meant for. It's not meant for private citizens. Some people would say, "Oh, but man, why aren't you doing it?" That's what your resources, your oil, your timber, your iron ore, your gold. That's what it's meant for. Not this whole opulence thing that we're seeing. And Ruth is saying, "By the opulence going to die by next Monday."
Yes, that's something that will happen.
So in your opinion, what has been a policy discussion over the last, I don't know how long, that we have had, or the government has come forth and said this is a new policy for us to work on? Because there are just so many things on the table that's supposed to be happening, from central bank operations to the transparency issue, to the accountability issue, to the budgeting and all of those things. What has really come into the public space for us to say, we are growing?
The central bank is VC. Our central bank is weak. If I had a choice, I will just go full dollarization and tell the central bank to just take US dollars when they come in, and let's just use, because the central bank is not good at using monetary policy. Central banks have two or three key mandates: job growth, stabilize the economy, and stabilize the economy also include keeping inflation at a certain level. Over here in the US, we keep inflation around 2.25%. Inflation in Liberia is double digits. Then Samuel Tuer comes out, he's all proud of himself. Inflation was almost 30%. They brought it down to around 17%. He's all proud of himself, saying we're doing a great job. No! you talk inflation, and inflation is a poor man tax because it impacts everybody. It doesn't care. It just hurt the poor people even worse. You know that, right? Rich people can have prices go up. Rich people can afford it.
You can absorb the shock based on their resources. They are able to.
They can absorb it.
The poor man is already on less than $2 a day, or probably worse than that. So any kind of price increase or inflation varies them a little bit more. So
we are not very good at implementing. This is what Boyka said during his interview. We are not good at implementing. You are a project.
I will ask you, I was about to say, how many project managers are in Liberia? How many times will any project go through that, initiation stage, that planning stage, the execution stage, the real monitoring stage, and the close out? How many times that happens?
It comes back. In fact, on Tuesday, I have 20 students, two groups that I'm teaching project management to go and sit for the certification exam on Tuesday, right? We just not investing in training the people to do that stuff. They don't know how to do it. They just don't know how to do it. So what happens? We get billions and billions of dollars in foreign grants, and the US sends people over there to do the work. And when the work is all said and done, the training comes back. This is where the government should set up that infrastructure to train the people to carry this thing out.
I mean,
we don't do it. It's not that complicated.
No,
it's just
not.
Because
if you or me can be project managers, I'm sure other people can be. It just
nobody born doing it. We learn this stuff.
Yeah. So, and those skills are transferable basically to any kind of sector. So
yeah,
I don't see why it's just a challenge, and also I don't see why the international community doesn't encourage that to happen.
It's not. They're not going to do it.
Didn't Obama pass a law, especially for U.S., that every U.S. project should have a project manager?
The international communities, USAID is not going to do it. And I'm saying this because I've sat in meeting with Liberian government officials, and USAID made demands against the government of Liberia when government of Liberia wanted to question them about certain projects. The NGOs coming to Liberia to do those work was telling USAID, oh, the government of Liberia questioning us in terms of the work we're doing. And I give credit, I give credit where credit is due.
But why the government can't hold its feet? We can't continue.
No, I don't know if they backed down, but I know in that meeting, the government held its feet. The Ministry of Finance held its feet. There were other people in there. They stood their ground. I give them credit. I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, I'm across the board critic. No, I'm not going to critic. I give them credit.
Because for me, a lot of times, it's some total of this aid money is not impacting us the way
it's not doing anything whatsoever.
So we got to have some serious pushback. If you're going to say
how are you going to push back when I'm giving you money, my man? You're begging for money for free.
That's why I'm with Kagame and some of the other people. We got to refuse bad aid. It's not good aid. If you just claim that they're giving you X millions or nearly billions of dollars.
Yeah, but so much of our budget relies on foreign aid. What percent of our budget relies on foreign aid? We built our whole economy, our whole system right now on foreign aid. So it's kind of hard to easily get. It's like a drug addict. You're telling a drug addict right now who's been getting free aid for years, my man, I want you to, it's not going to happen. So you got to find a strategy to get yourself off foreign aid. And that only happens when you start building your economy. But how are you going to build your economy when the guy who's heading the central bank is VC? That's not going to happen.
But it's not necessarily one person, though. You know, it's the composite of the overall capabilities of people, the leadership there, the vision, whatever that plan is. And a lot of times, you know, we got some of those things on paper, but how, like, you know, you said the VP said, how is they implemented? How can people take this thing documented here and turn it into a program that's implementable and so
they don't know how to do it. The U.S. government spent thousands and thousands of dollars to write a 80 or 100-page report on how to build tourism in Liberia. Eugene Nangme was there, right? They all signed off on it. U.S. government wrote the report. This is how you build tourism, how you create jobs. And you know tourism creates 1 out of every 9 jobs in the entire world.
Yep.
That's huge. We're competing with Sierra Leone. What did the Minister of Information and Tourism do with that report? They didn't know how to implement it. The report is, go on the internet, look for it. The report is there. You said spend thousands of dollars to write it.
So you said you did a tourism in
Liberia? I got a full tourism report. I mean, it probably take me 10 seconds and I can show it to you.
But take the 10 seconds while we talk about because I won't find that particular report because there's just so much. And then with recently, you remember when they came back from the US on the trip, that one of the issues that the US government folks raised with them, that tourism, the alignment from a historical perspective with the US, we are not leveraging that. And that is totally correct. We are not doing that. How we do that, how we turn our economy around is all tied in together. And for us not to recognize that, for us not to see the potential and start to do some things, cleaning up the country, enforcing, you know, a higher degree of law and order that people can respect the rule of law, and being able to get some people in that sector. There's so many tentacles in the tourism sector for people, you know, from the...
Joshua can show it to you. I'll take a few seconds. I'll show it to you. Okay. Right.
What is the name of the report?
You're going to see it. So,
okay, yeah.
U.S. government spends all this money to create this 115-page tourism report.
This part of the aid, just so people can understand when they do all
tourism creates 1 out of every 9 jobs in the country. And they put in some of the attractions, you know, the pygmy hippos and all that stuff out there. Tourism is a huge job creation. You can change Liberia with tourism. Even surfing in Robertsport, huge attraction. When the late, what's the guy from Andrew, what's his name, Bourdain? The chef, man, Anthony Bourdain.
Yes.
that was a huge promotion to Liberia, right? Very, very big promotion in Liberia. So the strategy is all out there, paid for by USAID to go ahead and get tourism up and running in Liberia, right? And who at the time was there signing off on it? Eugene Nangwe. Has tourism created a kind of job and expectations in Liberia? No. No, absolutely not. Sierra Leone right now is competing. A lot of the major hotels are building in Sierra Leone right now. The Marriott and some of these guys, they're building in Sierra Leone. You know, so it's this kind of fiasco, this kind of incompetence that is killing us right now. We have no reason to be poor, but we go out of our way to be poor because we just don't have the right people who are doing the right things.
So this was in what, 2015, 2016?
I would email it to you. You can have a copy.
No, I got the report.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. If you
So
look,
it gave a 5-year strategy. 2016 or 2020, right?
right.
So it's a
look at
5-year
what-
strategy.
Look at what you just said. You just said this strategy is articulated around 6 strategic objectives. 1, spur policy focus and improve the business and investment climate for the tourism sector. 2, improve necessary infrastructure for supporting the sector. 3, improve skills development in the sector. 4, ensure environmental sustainability and integration of local community involvement in the sector development process. 5, improve institutional capacities and coordination in the sector. 6, improve the Liberia tourism brand and develop robust tourism offerings.
Yeah, those are all words.
Any of those 6?
Those are all words. And you see, the thing about this strategy is it takes money into the rural communities and it helps the people in the rural communities because poverty is even worse in the rural communities. Tourists, yeah.
And then he says, in order to maintain the momentum, I don't know where the momentum comes from.
It's all words, man. It's all meaningless.
Taking a step towards establishing the first ever National Liberia Tourism website. The ministry doesn't even have a website.
You see what I mean? The fiasco. The only person who may be doing something in tourism right now may be May Ure. There's a tourism board out there, and I've seen some videos on YouTube. So she may be trying to push tourism.
National, Tourism Association.
Correct.
Active.
Correct.
I'm not sure I ever did pay for my membership, or communicate, contact with them. We're trying to work with them too on this tourism thing. There are a couple of operators in Liberia. I think one is Chiquita Johnson, another one is Caroline Bernard. And then, we got
Caroline Bernard. Yeah.
My
friend Caroline Bernard, she's doing something in there.
Some of the transportation people who are ready. A place like Patawi, they amped it up. Jonty Richardson and his wife, they got something up there. I was there in Patawi. It's beautiful. You can sleep outdoors and all of that.
Isaac.
The opportunities are there. And I'm trying to find out something about, ecotourism in River Cess. Who some of the hunters over there that can be guides and take people through the forest for a few days and be able to come out on the other side. It's like it's there. Because I have gone through the River Cess forest. It's there. The big bushes on the west side, they are there. But how do we start this thing?
When you ask about job creation, you don't have the skill. You don't really need a whole lot of money. We don't have the skilled people.
Some money, you got to invest it.
No, you do need some. But when you say money, we can talk about how much money you need.
Relative,
because we know that to develop a nation, to develop a country, you need to have capital. Capital can be in the form of manpower. We have a very young population, which means we have the manpower. I think the average age is like 19 or 20, which means we have the manpower. It's an unskilled labor force. But we can use tourism to start building the economy until we start investing more of our GDP into education to build. We're in the information age to start building for the next generation. Construction. Look at the whole. Who built the mausoleum? I'm hearing that it was foreigners.
Yeah, well, Ghanaians. And that's another thing. We talk about capacity building and training. Yeah, nationally, we know most of our craftsmen can be creative. They can design great. Finishing has been a major problem.
It can be too.
Do we not train our people to be better finishers? What I'm making the door even, the window even, so nothing can come in. The top is close enough to the wall. the crowding is correct.
Yeah.
All of those things. I mean,
But that's where we are lacking in terms of the vision. And hopefully next week or the week after, we can take a key look at the Pro-Poor agenda so people can understand what Pro-Poor means,
right.
how Pro-Poor came about, why is it a big failure today. So we'll expand on that. And then we get the CPP people to come on. Let's talk the numbers. Are they better option? Or should we, like some people are saying, stick with the devil? We know. So yeah, we're talking about that, but I want us to kind of wrap up and not keep the people here any longer than we need to.
Let's wrap it up. So let's get Joshua, final thoughts. We get mine and we get yours, and we call it a day.
Okay, I want to say thanks to the team there. It's a crack team, and I'm privileged to be serving as your host back here in Liberia. The show is very much informative and educative. But one thing I want to say to Liberians, and most especially our government and those at the arms of power, to talk real issues and forget about triviality. Lots and lots of energy are asserted on triviality, wherein you have almost everybody during the week pay for talk show time or airtime just to discuss a single lawmaker who should be preaching his own thing. I'm one person. I told people that since the president came back from Paris, in the news, there has been only two major stories on the president since he came back from Paris. That was his arrival, and I think when he was awarded 2 days ago. That was the only time the president surfaced in the news. But this particular lawmaker surfaced in the news almost a month. Every day he got a day in a week to be talked about. No policy has been spit out to the people as to what they are doing. So I think there must be time laid aside by our requisite government authorities to work on policies, implement policies, and explain policies than chasing after trivial issues. With this, our country can move forward on a daily basis. So I want to say thanks to the team and thanks to the listeners around the world and here in Liberia. Happy pre-independence to our nation, Liberia, and to all of us Liberians.
Thank you, Joshua. I'm going to be real short. This program will be very educational. We're going to discuss the issues. We're going to offer evidence. We're going to give you the facts. You decide. You are free to call in. You can message us, get on social media, Facebook, put your comments or questions out there. We will read it. Like Joshua said, we're not going to spend time talking about the nonsense. We're going to discuss the issues. That's why I like my man, T-Max, the 50-50 show. That guy get right down to the issues. He asks the tough questions and let people answer it. So yeah, this is what this show is going to be about. Right. I'm a professor. I teach finance. I teach other subjects. But before that, I worked a little over 30 years as a senior executive in the bank where your CDL governor was just a low-level executive. So
low-level executive?
But he wasn't an executive. He wasn't an executive. Yeah. So, but yeah. Bring somebody from the CBL. Let's discuss finance. Bring somebody from the finance ministry. Let's discuss economics.
We'll try to call them too.
Let's bring them. We'll invite them. Bring Lester Tenney. I love Lester Tenney.
Yeah, open. We invite them here, and hopefully people can learn. Like you said, this is a learning process, and we are really, really looking forward to it. We'll try to keep our commitment. Yeah, 5 o'clock. Every Saturday. What I'm very impressed with is Joshua. Joshua is not inhibited. He will contribute to the discussion, and we just need to keep promoting the platform, inviting more people, and eventually we'll have a wonderful show that will serve our people and educate our people, enlighten them, and that we can all be better for what we're talking about. Their own participation, civics. We'll try to add some civics to the
exactly.
The and let people understand what it is to be responsible citizens and to do the right things to move the country forward. So. Wonderful. The folks out there, People's TV, Brush FM, Brush TV or Sam TV, whatever outlet we are channeling through, we want to say thank you for watching, and we are here. Thank you.
Thanks, Joshua. Appreciate you, man.
So-
Thanks, Isaac.
So I just want to create the local time is 9 p.m.
Right.
Yes. So on your side is 5
o'clock
here
Eastern
is
time.
9
Yes.
p.m.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, folks, you just listen to the program weekly wrap up right here. And so we're about to, well, I'm sorry for that background music. We're about to take a leave of you on the program, but I will leave you with this song. Please enjoy it as we all gear up for the Independence Day celebration. My name is Joshua Wright. I'm still here with you. Don't panic. I'm your usual Saturday night friend. So we're going to keep it together straight up to 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So for the best you can ever get in quality broadcast, and keep it locked down to Brush 94.7.
To be like a woman, and I don't care what anybody could say. I will jump and sing and shout hooray, 'cause today is our Independence Day. We are free.